Hey everybody! Welcome to Free Spirit Talks. It is Addison Bell and a mermaid.
And a mermaid. I don't have a tail though. I had somebody message me and ask me if I had a tail now.
I'm gonna leave that one alone to keep
That person may watch this.
That's funny. That's funny. So yeah, you're all
a little mermaidy.
Mermaidy.
Yeah, a little mermaidy.
Were you unloved by your mother, and so you felt the need to change your appearance? Is that the issue?
I struggled with feeling important in my mother's life, and that's, so I've consistently gone above and beyond
to stand out.
Yes.
Obviously, this is the case since I'm about to have blue in my hair as well.
You're just copying me. We all know it.
I don't know. Well, I kind of like that one.
I did that
there's
so
certain
last month.
things. Yeah, you did that. You did that several months ago.
that was like 90 days ago. Now you see,
mermaid hair is a thing. Though.
It
is not me copying
your
you.
turquoise is going to be really pretty.
It is me wanting a change.
So why do you want so much change? I mean, do you have challenges with, maybe parental things that have come up?
No, I'm good. I have no parental issues.
No parental issues?
None.
Your parents are completely
They were perfect.
Supportive.
They were totally perfect.
Never,
I was the perfect child. They were the perfect parents. There was none of this going on.
All right, well, that's not my story, because my mother used to take me out on walks for an hour one direction, an hour back. We had a German Shepherd. We'd take these walks, and she would do nothing but complain about my father to me the entire time. And so it caused this separation between me and my dad.
Yeah.
And I favored her and all this kind of stuff. And also, it's made me a good coach because I've learned how to hold space.
Yes.
But it has created this, for the longest time, it took me up until just 3 years ago to really be able to get healthy boundaries with my mother. Around, the universe kind of supported my boundary making with her getting dementia, but even in the midst of that, it's been, I spent all my adult years where, on the front side of my first marriage, my mother was more my significant other in my, I need to please her before I need to please my own household, before I need to please myself, before I need to do any of that. And I have lived a complete life around, oh no, I am responsible for my mother's state of being in all avenues. And it really, I see, as a grown woman and doing what I do, I see completely that, oh, that stemmed from right here. Yes. All this, to spend 2 hours walking with your mom 7 days a week, 7 months a year, and you hear that, and then her crying to me and going, this is what we need to do. So she would build that, relationship and taking care of me. And then it went into the teen years where if I went and did something, she had to be attached at my hip about everything. So, I've moved all around the country too, and
she's
my mom within a year's time tops. That was the longest from Seattle to Texas. Yeah, right there, telling me that I needed her and that she needed all that stuff. Yeah.
And I was being sarcastic prior because I have my own stuff, and I'll speak a little bit about that in a minute. But there is as in therapy and in coaching, there is something that we call that emotional incest, and we put mother on this. And I did that because in therapy we used to have a joke which I would tell my clients if they said something like, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. We all have these wounds. We all have these deep emotional wounds from our parents. Some of us have daddy wounds. Some of us have mommy wounds. Most of us have a little bit of both, unfortunately. And it is just the growing up process. But some people who grew up in really toxic families, and sometimes those toxic families don't look like outward abuse or outward,
That's the problem with anything when you get into the emotional, psychological aspect of things. It's you can go, oh no, that person's got a great life, but you don't know about the emotional impact of things that are going on, the things that are being said, daily stuff that's just so little, and sometimes not so little, but just that comes up because
But,
you can't tell the toll that's taking.
And these wounds are sometimes the hardest stuff to pull out because the roots are so incredibly deep because they start at birth. And so it's oftentimes hard to even pull these roots out. It's possible, but it is difficult. It's difficult sometimes to see them. And I can very much relate to your story in that I was the caretaker of my family. I definitely was a caretaker. I was the golden child. I was the one who did nothing wrong, but I definitely was the emotional support person in my family. Everyone told me everything. I mean, like, I remember multiple incidents of my mother, doing that to me. And my father was like, yeah, you're the one who holds it all together. You're the glue. You're the glue,
so
Addison.
strong.
You're so strong. You're the glue. And I was the glue until I wasn't the glue anymore. And I literally was trying to kill myself with an eating disorder because I was like not acknowledging my own needs, and to the point that I almost died. Like, I was willing to die for those wounds, to not rattle the cage, shake the boat until I just blew it all up. And then I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm doing this. But I can definitely relate to that emotional incest stuff. Like, it's just that, like, you must take care of me. And I think a lot of parents put their emotions on their kids of, like, you must take care of me, not even realizing it. And then the child grows up feeling insecure or feeling like they're responsible for everybody else's stuff. And then as adults, we have to clear that up, because at some point, it's no longer our parents' fault.
No.
Like, if you're like 10 or 13, like, guess what? You can still get away with blaming your parents for a lot of stuff. But when you are, 33, 53, 73, you're over it.
When
like,
you're in your 20s, you don't know. And your frontal lobe's not fully functioning either. So we'll just let the 20-somethings off on this. But as you get to those later 20s, like, I'm going to just go like 26, 27, you're gaining awareness, you're starting to pay attention, and you really are more in a mindset that you know right from wrong. You can logically work through things.
You're independent.
You're independent. You should be independent. You should be independent. I mean, let's just be real that we see a lot of those late 20s to even up to like 35.
I lived at home for a very long time because my parents were like, you will not leave. You will not leave. It was like the freaking vacuum.
I read a report that said not that long ago that said that 30 is the new 18.
Yeah.
Because our 30-somethings cannot function outside of, mommy and daddy's wingspan, because they never were allowed to actually have that independence and to be able to go and explore. And I think that a lot of that comes down to right here. Yes. That need of, like, the parents being protective, being those helicopter parents to the nth degree around stuff, and also going, no, I'm going to make, I'm going to get the most out of this time with my child. And then you have all of this where, a lot of people today, you look at marriages, relationships, and they're just toxic situations. So you've got the parents that are just at each other and leaning on a child, the children, something in some capacity. I mean, I have I could list out 1,000,001 stories from clients alone that I could say, a couple years ago, I had a client where they were sleeping in different bedrooms. Now, she was sleeping in the children's bed, and their children the youngest was 12. And she just was, I'm going to just go read to them. I'm going to just go put them down and then spend the night there just sleeping at 12, right?
That's emotional incest.
Right? That's emotional incest. And then, but the whole thing, he's going, well, we haven't been intimate for, 10 years, and really to any degree, this is going on, that's going on, boom, 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 boom. She wants nothing to do here and here. So instead of getting a divorce, because that would be dangerous and toxic for the children. That would be emotionally abusive to the children, right? If we got a divorce, we want them to see that parents stay together, blah, 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 blah. But no, so we're now sleeping with our 12-year-old and doing this in the marriage instead of showing a loving, connected marriage. And I've got other people where it's just like, you name it around kids. And I know that you have stories.
Yes,
too,
I have lots of clients and stories. And in truth, if you have more intimacy with your child than your partner, that is a huge,
that's where I really think that's
motherfucking red flag. That is
where, that's emotional incest. In my book, if you say, I'm more intimate emotionally with my child than I am with my
Yeah, we're not
significant
talking
other.
about sexual abuse here.
No, we're not talking sex at all, because we're talking all about the emotions, like to lean on your child or to be the child that is being leaned on as a grown adult or not, right? That when the parent is doing this where they are leaning on that at that emotional level, I mean, like, no, like it is, you know, the two partners should be together. The parents should be together, whether they are, you know, and this is really goes for whether it's the parents and they're both, the kids belong to both of them, or second marriage, third marriage. I don't care. It needs to be the adults who are together need to be together and that united front, and that's where the emotional support comes in, because to lean on your child, your offspring, for that, and to have like that kind of like, no, I'm gonna confide in you. I'm gonna tell you all this stuff. No, I need this. Well, you know, mommy needs that, and you know, or dad needs you to just do this or whatever. I mean, that is just as toxic and messed up as the sexual aspect.
So I have had, and the sexual abuse was not from my parents. I never received, so I want to make that very clear. But like, I've had sexual abuse, but in truth, the emotional incest, emotional stuff that I dealt with family was more traumatizing, more rewiring.
Because it happened
than
every
actual, day. Yes, because it happened every day, and it is so like, you go, am I going crazy? Am I crazy? Am I crazy that this is wrong? Am I crazy that this is, you know, and in truth, you don't even have a choice. You don't have a chance to go, this is crazy, because it's just what life is. Like my mother, and I love my mother, but there were like, I remember a time period when she was having severe anxiety attacks when I was 10 or 11, and like she would lean on me daily to go to the store. Like she could not leave the house without me. Like she could not leave the house without me. And I remember that had a massive impact on me, and I know that was not her intention. And that's the case. Like, this is not people trying to harm their kids. But it is recognizing that, like, you can't lean on your kids at that level. And at the same time, that's not to say, because I talked to a client about this one day, a month or two ago, and he was like, does that mean that I can't show my kiddo that I'm having a bad day? I'm like, no, that's not the case. Like, you can go, mommy, daddy are having a bad day, but there is a space where you lean on your partner, you lean on your friends if you are not close with your partner, you lean on somebody else. But as far as emotional support goes, your child is not that person. And this actually goes in cycles where like your parents may have done it, and so then you do it, and it becomes a cycle.
I was just gonna say, I was like, I know you know my relationship with my oldest daughter. We are very, very close. We're, you know, like good friends. We're fellow mothers. I'm, you know, all this kind of stuff, and we have a really great relationship. And we have healthy boundaries at this point in time. Now, I was guilty when she was 9, 10, 11 years old, 12 maybe, something like that. I was extremely guilty of emotional incest because I had no freaking clue what was going on, and I was in such a situation. And unfortunately, at that point in time, like, I had no close friends. I was my marriage was going kaput in a hurry. It was very, very toxic. And she would be the first to tell you the humorous stories of mom, you know, like that.
Yeah, she is.
Of that. Like, she is. Like, let me tell you about this time that mom did this. But, you know, I think back and I'm like, oh, God, I can't, how could I have done that? But at the same time, it's one of those things of, like, we've processed a lot of that out and had a lot of communication around it and instilled some very healthy boundaries and owning it. And that's the big thing, is that, like, as the parent in that situation, it really is just to own it and to go, oh, well, I messed up right here, and then remedy it. Like, to make sure you're not doing that, you know, anymore. Now, we're grown women and we have children to, you know, and all that kind of stuff. It's a little bit different of a relationship. She's still my daughter, and there's still certain things that I don't go to her even as a grown woman and completely confide in her in everything. I know that there needs to be, because she's still my daughter. But there's other things that I go, there's nobody else that I would confide in on this because of our relationship. But there is definitely those boundaries in place where I mean, I was when she was 10, 11, 12 years old, that was that 2-year time frame when I was in like a deep, nasty, dark depression for 2 years. And unfortunately, what I did was exactly what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And I look at some of the stuff that she's gone through, and I'm like, oh, like I probably am like the culprit of that, the initiator of that. And I'm not saying that I'm to blame for her decisions, but I know that if I had done things differently, she wouldn't have reacted on other things that way. So it's like, oh, there's that little trickle down right there. But again, it's own it, communicate, set healthy boundaries.
Because no parent is perfect. But I think also the key is to do your own work, because the fact is, like, you can't set healthy boundaries with kids. You can't just have a healthy relationship if you have not worked through your parents' wounds. Because it's not even just mothers. This is dads too. Yeah. Like, this is, like, we put mother in the title, but in truth, it's both parties. And we all have wounding from our parents. If we don't get out of childhood without any wounding, guess what? Like, we're humans, and no parent is perfect. And actually, the more perfect you try to be as a parent, usually the more you're messing it up. Yeah. And I hate to say that, but it's true.
It's true, though.
But it's true.
I know that for a fact from many, many scenarios of people trying to be like, oh, no, I'm going to do this. Yeah, you're better off just realizing that parenting is like science. It really is.
And I know the topic has really been around, like, embodying your emotions, but you also sometimes have to realize, like, where some of your emotions and things come from.
Yeah, and you own it, and you don't blame. I mean, that's really the big thing, because like we started off with this, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. Well, yeah, it can be parental, but once you get to that, 26, 27, 30-year mark, you got to own your own crap and go, I am a grown person who can make choices. Yeah, I get to make the decisions for my life. I'm the one thinking my thoughts. I'm the one feeling my feelings. I'm the one that's taking action. And I can no longer go, oh, yeah, well, if my mom hadn't done this when I was 12, then I wouldn't be acting like this. That's living in that victim state of being and not being proactive in your life.
Yeah. So, like, for example, like, I can give the example, since I threw out, like, my mother with her panic attacks, like, I am very much the person who, like, if I see somebody really close to me struggling, I want to almost overbear and, like, over take care of them. And, like, I can go, like, oh, well, that's that overbearing, like, let me take care of you, like, I could throw that out and be like, oh, well, that's because of this. And yes, it is. That is where it comes from. But at the same time, I'm like, and I'm almost 35, so that's not like that. Like, you have to check yourself. You have to go, like, no, like, I have to check myself and go, like, is this is me acting from my wound right here, and not from my aligned spiritual self that knows that, like, yes, I can support people, but I don't have to, like, yeah. So, and you know this. She's laughing because she's like, yep, that is so you.
So, yeah.
She's like, that's so you.
We gotta talk boundaries.
And I've had to learn boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big.
Like, I've had to learn boundaries on that one.
That's and I think that's probably one of the biggest things that comes up for people with emotional incest of any sort is that their boundaries get all skewed.
Yep.
And I know that there's like a list of who knows how many items that you could put underneath this as to the psychological, emotional things that come up when you are a victim of emotional incest. But I think that boundaries pretty much is, I would put that as one of the big ticket items and go, okay, this is what you need to work on. And guess what? I know that you and I both in our professions, like, one of the major things that I work with people on is Boundaries. Oh, did we forget to mention boundaries? Like,
I'm gonna bring up the B word again.
Yeah, I know. My clients will go, oh God, not the B word again, not boundaries. I thought I was through this. I'm like, yeah, well, obviously you're not, because look at this. This is coming back at you right here. So it's like that. But to get what is healthy for each individual, boundary-wise, around, and it's not just the emotional boundaries, because
all of them.
It might be emotion that we're dealing with in the parental factor that initiates it, but it can make us have really weak or rigid boundaries, in our money, in our time, in our physical, in our love, in our anything, and we can go either direction on it. It's not just going to be just from this one aspect.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's also a rigidity that can happen too. It's like
you shut
like
down.
yeah, if somebody has
Protection.
if somebody is super needy, I'll be like there's also that too. Like there's the opposite reaction on certain
We
things.
all know how I do with needy people. I know. Really
No, but like there's opposite
really
reactions too that happen. So it is looking at all the boundaries.
Yeah.
And like there's also like I've had clients that are like had emotional incest and they're like, I can't say no to my partner when they want sex, but I'm really not into it. But it's because I was never able to say no. Everything was kind of thrust upon me. So
yeah.
So you're right on that one. So yeah, we were talking, and this is really what we're just seeing a lot coming up, and I think it's because everyone's sitting at home and talking to family and having.
I think everybody's doing a lot of check-ins right now. I mean, I know I got like 5-6 of my clients that are going through this right now in the moment. So guess who's getting this video for homework? Like, listen to this, guys. But it is.
Kendall's clients. Beep 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 beep.
You're like, beep beep beep. Bus is beeping. Yeah. I'm like, oh god. But no, I think that it really does come down to that with all of the COVID stuff and everybody being quarantined and now kind of coming out of it, but still in this mode. Everybody's so fearful of. I want to check in on my parents. I want to check in on these significant people in my life. And then at the same time, everybody's had anywhere from, 45 days to 120 or more days to sit and really get disgusted with their inside world.
Yep. Their emotions are swirling right now.
Everybody's just got all of this stuff going on, and there's a lot of blame game going on as well. Yeah. And frustration, anxiety. And so these emotions are triggering these old wounds. And then they're calling in on the ones who, activated those wounds to begin with and not really realizing that what's going on there. So then they have all of that going on.
Or falling into old patterns with people.
I mean, have you ever noticed, I'm right now, I'm not visiting my mother with her being home and stuff, but and you're not visiting your mother either.
No.
Because you're not allowed there because you're still out and about in the world right this very second. But have you noticed in the past that when you go back to visit your parents, how old do you feel?
About 12.
About 12. I was going to say 12 too. I'm like, I never advanced from 12 with my mom. And that 12-year-old who always took care of my mom and who was always holding space and at the same time was just like, my personality shifts. Or I go into this very rigid, cold space. She's always gotten one or the other from me in my adult years and I'm just like, if I try to fight that 12-year-old, if I try to fight the 12-year-old, I become this rigid, just ice queen.
No, yeah.
I'm just an ice queen in that moment. Like you will
never
not
bother
be
you.
Right, literally. But that is just me fighting that 12-year-old that she just pulls out so easily because I just fall right back into those old patterns.
Yeah. And I fall right back into the patterns of my mother and my father and my siblings, in truth.
Yeah, that's what, So if that's going on, then just imagine if we're calling and checking in on our parents every week to make sure that they're okay, to make sure our family members are okay, then what are we doing? We're just like, there's that pattern, there's that pattern, there's that pattern. It's just like re-trigger, yeah. All that stuff's just coming up, which I think that's I definitely see coming up for a lot of people.
So it's a perfect time to work through that stuff while emotions are up, because in truth, the emotions show us what we need to work on, where we need to grow, where we need to expand. And so while our emotions are kind of stirred for most people, I think this is a great time to just continue to stir that pot a little bit.
Yep. Might as well get in there and
set some boundaries and see your shit.
Yeah, for sure. So what do you have going on?
I have a Tantric integration puja coming up in the area. So if you're,
what day is
it is June 17th. It is 9 a.m., 6 p.m. We are only allowing 10 people into the building. So we are keeping COVID regulations. So don't text or email me yelling at me. So we're keeping space. But it's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be on body talk. So it's going to be about our bodies and our sexuality and really embodying self. And
I'm actually really looking forward to it.
And it's going to be really great. It's going to be loving our bodies and viewing our bodies in a different way. I'm really excited. I love my tantric integration pujas. They are like my babies. So, what is going on in your world, girl?
Well, I have the word integration in my title too. We both have integration stuff going in June. Did you? That's like June is integration month. Yeah. So no, I'm doing the level 1 quantum integration workshop. So teaching all about, and I'm doing just 10 people too.
Yes.
So yes, a small group for this workshop. So that also means that if you want the spot to go
Get
ahead
it
and
now.
grab it, right?
Don't wait until last minute because we promise there will not be spots.
No, yeah, not at 10 because these workshops, I mean, both of our workshops normally get anywhere. Those
ones get like 15.
Yeah, yours are like 15 to 20 and the
yours could have up to sometimes 40.
Yeah. So, and it's not going to be that way. It's going to be 10. So we're going to small group it. Old school. Make me feel very
Yeah. I know, like all our workshops, we used to have like these huge workshops. It's going to be interesting. These small little groups.
I'm thinking that I might just do like every other month do it, a level 1 for just a little bit to try to get it over. I don't know, but that's not on the books right now. Right now, we just have that coming up
on June 20th.
The 20th. Thank you very much.
Starting at 1 p.m.
Oh, thank you.
In Plano, Texas.
Oh, thank you.
It's a great workshop.
Would you like to just do their skill for me? Yeah, all right. So that's great. So no, this is where like I'm going to teach everybody how to do the 1, 2, 3s of all that energy stuff that people have heard about or seen videos on.
And there is a video if you want to see what it is.
Yeah, which is on my website at kendallwilliams.com. So that is there.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's what we got going.
Tap into the emotions, embody, own your emotions, take responsibility for where you're at, and practice boundaries. Yeah, that's the big one. So.
All right, guys, we love you, and catch us at addisonbell.net or
kendallwilliams.com.
All right.
And I can't.